What up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Fencer, Prince, SoundCloud, SoundClick, it's your boy Tone 202. And don't forget to check out my music just right there. Just type it, just Google it, just right there. Anyway, a little rain out here, but I wanted to make another video about this stolen valor I've been getting so much flack about. And I'm not going to go through all of what I said a few times already, but I am going to touch on the simple fact that most people don't know the stolen valor law. They haven't read it. They haven't read the new amendment that was in 2012 by President Obama, and he went at it with the Supreme Court, pretty much saying that the Supreme Court said that, look, you can't tell somebody that they can't say particular things, even if they're talking about they served in the military and they never served. Stolen valor is only when somebody is wearing a uniform and getting benefits from wearing that uniform and they never served. It's not from somebody standing on a corner holding a sign said U.S. military veteran, and they're not getting any benefits. It's when they're saying U.S. military veteran and then they are getting benefit. They are getting money from that. So if they're just standing around saying that they're a U.S. military veteran and they weren't, guess what, you guys? It's not stolen valor. But if they're standing there with a sign and people are giving them money, then that is stolen valor. That is against the law. It is a federal crime to do that. But nonetheless, I've been going at it with people on about what is morally right and wrong, and they're saying anybody in a uniform who says that they served and they didn't, that's stolen valor. And I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. But then they go even further and say anybody who says that they serve, especially the Marines. This guy is a Marine. He's been going at it with me, and he was selling big wolf tickets till I was like, look, we can meet up, yada yada yada. But nonetheless, he pretty much, he had to dial it back because he realized just because I'm in the Army or was in the Army and I'm an older dude, don't mean I can't protect myself. Two, you stop selling wolf tickets on the internet to people you don't know. Just because you were a Marine and you work for DOD and you live in a community of all military people, so what? So what? That don't make it. That doesn't give you permission to just go and start yelling at anybody who says that they served in the military. Now, the guy who I was talking about, who I'm not going to mention, he said that he was a Navy SEAL. He said that he was. He had a whole bunch of accolades. He said he even fought Kimbo Slice at one time. He said he said he did a lot of things. He said he was a sniper. He said he was on the police force. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. This dude is in a wheelchair. He's got some kind of spinal disease. He can't walk. It's obvious that he can't walk. He isn't the dude that shows up in a wheelchair and he goes home and he walks. Like, this dude is really, really sick. Like, his head is larger than his body. You can tell his body is being eaten away. And I watch him in the gym and he's trying to lift 2 pounds, and he's straining to do it like this. This guy is not faking. Not to mention, he's not asking anybody for anything. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you why I respect this dude. I didn't look up whether he was a Navy SEAL or not. I don't care. I'll leave that to Don Shipley. But nonetheless, this guy is, like I said, he's not really. He isn't asking anybody for anything. And so he watches me hit the bag. He's like, yeah, you look good hitting the bag. And I think he's living vicariously off of us. He wish he could still do the things we can, but he can't do those things anymore. But here's the real kicker. What if he was, I'm not going to say a SEAL, but let's just say, what if he was in the military? What if he was in a police force? What if he was a sniper? What if he was a SEAL? And now this dude is stricken to a wheelchair. He had all that ability and he can't do any of those things. But yet he comes up to the gym all the time. Doesn't ask nobody for nothing. Doesn't say nothing to nobody unless it's a hello, hit the bag, He doesn't try to get in anybody's pockets. Nothing. Very humble. Most of the time I see him, he's by himself. trying to get his little workout on. He's got money because he goes right down to the store and buys protein and all that kind of stuff. You see him with all of it sitting on his lap. He tries to keep that in his system. What if he did do all that stuff? This is the reason why I don't advocate going after people with this whole stolen valor. Not unless it's so obvious that they are, stolen valor dudes. Because there has been cases where people have gone after guys and they were wrong. They were all out wrong. And that was, and it's a bad deal. Because listen, guys, listen. I'm all about, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. I'm all about that. I'm all about protecting America. I am all in. I'm all about, people standing up for what's right. I'm all about, con artists getting them and, giving it to them. Like, get out of here with that. I'm all about what's right. I'm all about righteous. I'm all about what's morally right, too. But I'm about the law. And, when you're harassing somebody who isn't deserving of it, but you don't know this, guess what, people? That's against the law. It really, really is against the law. Asking somebody about their credentials is one thing, but just harassing them and telling them you got friends that died and now you're screaming in their face because they got their patch on wrong or because they have a pair of BDUs on that were from yesteryear. Because the BDUs I had on are nowhere near like the BDUs you guys are wearing now. And that's because and that's simply because the war changed. The war, and that's why they stopped making the battle dress uniforms darker. They make them lighter now because we changed who we were fighting. For a long time we were fighting in the jungle. So our BDUs looked like we were fighting in the jungle. You know what I'm saying? And now our BDUs are all light because we're fighting against people that live in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? And being out we're fighting out there, it's like, okay, they just changed all of the BDUs. But of course the military has all kind of BDUs. Nonetheless, you guys get what I'm saying. They had, you adapt and overcome. They changed according to the people who were fighting. We're not fighting in Guam anymore and stuff like that. And so for years we were fighting against them. We were fighting against the French. We were fighting against. We weren't fighting against the French. We were fighting with the French. We were fighting against the Germans and all that, yada yada yada. So the battle dress uniform was darker. You get what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, what if this dude? What if he was any of that? And I only asked him, was he a Navy SEAL? What was his? I pretty much asked him what was his class that he graduated. And he just kind of skipped over. He was like, I'm not going to. I was like, all right, I didn't push the issue. Uh, yeah. So here's my thing. If you're gonna do that to people, ask them about their credentials. If they sound fake, tell them about the stolen valor law. You know what I'm saying? If they're wearing a uniform and you know that they're stolen valor, record them and then go ahead and send that into whoever the authorities or whatever, or call the authorities or whatever, because it is against the law. But if they're not wearing a uniform and they say they did a bunch of stuff, call them on it. Fine, call them on it. Don't harass them. I've seen a guy call another guy on it, and he was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You never served in the Marines. And the guy, just pretty much was out. He didn't follow the guy or nothing. He just called him on it. I'm with that. Call him out. He's a fake. Call him out. But you harass somebody, that's against the law, especially if you harass anybody. But if you harass somebody who doesn't deserve it, or somebody who was in the military, guess what? That law can turn on its head and turn right back on you. And that's all I'm saying. So, guys, be careful out there. You guys who, this guy who's a Marine, he's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm like, don't get punched in the mouth. I had to punch a guy in the mouth because he was talking about what I wasn't. And I threatened to punch this guy who I'm talking about and another guy on the internet straight in the mouth. I'll punch you right in your mouth. You come up here talking about what I'm not, especially at my doorstep. You asking for it. You asking for 6'2", 265 to be all up in your mix. And you're going to need all of your military training because I'm going to be on you. Don't do it. Come at me in a gentleman, cordially way, and we can discuss whatever. And I told that guy, I said, look, I'm ex-military. I'm not an ex-badass. I'm just a guy who served in the military. That's it. He tried to tell me that I wasn't. One guy called me a communist. That guy got punched in the mouth. I drive a Ford. I live in America. I was born here. Okay? I'm all about buying American cars. I'm all about the upliftment and the movement of America as a nation. But I'm not about foolishness. All right? So you guys know what I'm saying. And I see that guy all the time. And I'm going to tell you guys one more thing about that guy. He is a martial artist. He says he knew martial arts. Here's my thing about him. I was like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Why did uh, uh, a young guy come into the gym and walked right up to him, and me and him was talking at the time, and he was like, I'm ready for my training. Like, he's training this guy. And then he was telling me some martial arts stuff, and then he started moving his hands. And my stepdad was a martial artist. And I know one when I see one. And when I saw this guy moving his hands, I'm talking about the old veteran Navy SEAL dude, and I saw the way he was popping his hands and the way he was moving, I was like, that is martial arts. Not to mention he's teaching it to people at the same gym. I don't know if the guys are fake or not. I know that he's not getting any benefits from being a fake. And I know that he knows what he's talking about. So, I don't know. It's your boy Tone 202.